Hey everyone, and welcome to the next edition of the Snapchat. I'm joined today by none other than Cozy Snap. Cozy, how are you doing today, my friend?
Doing well. Not Cozy Snap anymore. I'm Cozy Snap, so even better. But I also miss Cozy Snap. May he rest in peace. Dude, good. We have just a fun week ahead for just like a ton of different reasons. The new era of Snap. We got new cards and doing well, buddy. How about yourself?
I'm doing great. I was actually surprised. I was expecting a lot more comments about the Cozy Snap, and like very few people actually, I don't know if they didn't realize that we had said Cozy Snap, just as a joke, but regardless, Cozy, we just had an absolutely fantastic conversation on your channel. Why don't you bring us down with what we had discussed on your side of the show?
Yeah, so we talked about X23 coming out, a new era of Destroy, and just everything around the new card and what it's going to do for the archetype. We also talked about the OTA. We had Forge, we had Crystal, Shauna. We broke down how their impact and what they're going to bring to Marvel Snap's meta, Alex. And then finally, we talked about rankings of all the new cards. We talked Series 4, Series 5. Quickly gave a tier list, our thoughts on them, because, you know, it's obviously very important to know what their worth are right now for Marvel Snap.
Absolutely. And today we're getting started with a very important conversation, and that is our favorite cards of the season thus far. Now, listen, this is one of my favorite conversations that we have because we always have differing opinions. Now, I got good news, Cozy. This time I didn't forget. We're doing costs 1 through 6. And I'm going to let you start off with cost number 1. At the 1 cost slot, what is one of your favorite cards of the season thus far?
Yeah, dude, always love this topic because we break down maybe not the best cards, but the ones that have helped us the most, right, buddy? So if you watched my side, I think this isn't going to come as like a huge shock by any means, but I've got Echo. Echo got my heart. It got my heart this particular season. Obviously, I play Kitty Pryde more, but Echo just feels like kind of got left behind, and she can be a very frustrating card. What I like about her that's kind of left unsaid is that you can set and forget her in a lane for just not a lot of cost, especially on curve. And all of a sudden, you can take out the equation in your head of, I hope they don't play Darkhawk in that lane, or I hope they don't play Null in that lane, because it's done. There's nothing they can do there, right? So, like, I love it for the insurance behind what she brings, and I think she's going to get a lot more popular as we move on. What about you, bud?
First of all, I think that you're one of the first people to really speak positively about Echo, and I think you might be right on this call. You've been right in the past on cards that people are sleeping on, and so I am, after this podcast, I'm going to be playing a lot of Echo, and specifically that amazing Zoo deck that you talked about prior. What I will say, though, is I'm going to stay a little more, in the norm with my 1-drop. But it's a 1-drop that we actually talked about just prior, about being one that could potentially be cut from lists, and that's Nova. Nova was a card that I relied on very much so this season for a number of reasons. 1, it works really well in Destroy. 2, I've been playing a lot of Nimrod and it still works well there. 3, it works wonderfully in Surfer. It's a Destroy card that really finds itself occupying different slots, even outside of just traditional Destroy. So for me, Nova's been an absolute winner at the 1 slot.
I love it because it feels like if you have a big card, you're like, they may have Shang-Chi. Nova used to be like, don't give away what you're doing. But I can't tell you how many people are like, they don't have Killmonger. They didn't draw it. I'm going to stick with it. And they still play their games, and Nova still gets his worth, right? So love it, buddy. I'll kick us off with the 2. I think 2 cost always is the toughest to pick between because there's so many different cards that you could pick. Armor's been a big winner with the Destroy season, so almost got my pick, but I'm going to give it to Kraven. I think, how do you not pick Kraven after his huge emergence in the meta, becoming a card that's easy? 2-4. I was just raging about Forge being a 2-4, like, oh, that's so amazing. Dude, this guy does that without even trying now. Captain Marvel is now technically 2 power more every single game you have him on. He feels good to play even late at times because then it gives you more flexibility of where where to move things. New York becomes just an instant snap win. Like, dude, I love Kraven.
I'm so insulted by the fact that you bring up Kraven and you pretend like it's not about the fact that you just pulled this absolutely amazing variant that you've ink split with a literal silver Stardust flare. That's beautiful. Like, for those that are listening, it's the one where Kraven has like the actual tiger directly beside. It is such a beautiful variant. When did you pull that? That just got added to the game, didn't it?
This just got added, and I put it on Twitter because, dude, look, it wasn't an easy split. Like, you could tell I play a lot of Kraven just for my split. A decent amount, right? And I got a little lucky. But I put this on Twitter, and the first comment was like, why didn't you save the split for the Snapchat? Like, why didn't you open it on the Snapchat? And I was like, you're right. I should have. But it dropped And there's not a great Craven variants. There's not a lot, dude. So when this dropped, it was at insto buy, and I've got my Craven for life now, dude. So I'm glad you noticed, man.
Yeah, it's a nice one. I think I'm going to get this one too. I do like the Savage Line one as well. But
Oh.
Cozy, I'm going to play a bit of a game with you here. I bet you can guess my 2-drop. It's as obvious as you think it is. Let's see if you can get it. What do you think is my 2-drop of the month?
Is it Jeff?
It has to be Jeff. Of course it's Jeff. It's always Jeff. I thought about not including Jeff because like it's just too obvious. You know I'm going to talk about Jeff, but like no, I'm going to talk about Jeff. Jeff's my favorite 2-drop in the game. I added into decks where I'm like, you know what? I don't have to play Jeff here, but I'm gonna play Jeff here. And that's when you know you love a card and it's just amazing. Like I'm adding him into decks. He really doesn't even have to be there, but I'm adding him anyway.
Dude, I can't wait for the damn spotlights to come out because like even in the zoo one I showed, like I'm like, Jeff obviously fits here. Like it goes in the Jean Grey lane. You can move and get things going and help your Pro X lane, right? I was like, every deck has Jeff. Maybe I don't put him in there. But it's kind of worse without. So it's like this weird thing, and now more people will have their hands on him whenever spotlights come out. So yeah, dude, Jeff, how do you not love him? Silk too, like, dude, 2 costs just they're on fire right now with the options we could pick. 3 costs though, buddy. I'm gonna let you go first. What do you got for 3 costs?
Okay, so I'm gonna cheat because I have 1 3 cost that is my true favorite, and that's Silver Surfer. I mean, you can pull up that beautiful pixel that you love to pull up. It's Silver Surfer's my favorite 3-drop, but that's a bit of a cheat because it's not just a 3-drop. You don't play it on 3. It's like it's something else. It's a whole different archetype. So I pull myself back here. I'm gonna cheat even more because my 3. I'm actually gonna pick 2 because 1 needs a special shout out, but the real favorite 3-drop is going to be Shadow King. Shadow King has been an absolute slayer of destroy this season. This card is by far an MVP for the entirety of August. If you're not playing Shadow King right now in your Surfer decks, you're doing it wrong. This card has to be in there. It is one of the most perfect tech cards. This, Armor, Cosmo, but even like you can skip on the Cosmo, just run this because it just does an amazing job. Shadow King is one of the most slept on cards in the game.
Yeah, dude, he's so killer. He's so wild, and he just fits the meta right now in a perfect way. I love how we probably both wanted to go for Dawkins, but we just couldn't because just not yet, maybe in the future. Spider-Man, this was his new season, right? So you would think I would pick him. But dude, I haven't shut up about it. I think I even picked this last season. I'm going with Jean Grey again. I'm going to keep on being that guy. If we're talking my favorite cards in a slot, this has the most decks. This was the one I took up to Infinite. This is the one I've gotten the most tickets for. Yeah, I love her. I love her. Even when the Craven deck came out, I had to do a Jean Grey version because I just thought it was better.
This week's Snapchat, like I'm often listening to you very intrigued. Like I'm legitimately interested in the decks you design and stuff like that. Echo and Jean Grey, they're just sitting in my mind. Like after the Snapchat, I'm going to play Echo and Jean Grey games because like it's just so perfect. I love the combination. And what I will say, Cozy, is my special shout out at 3.
You're naming the whole
I'm ready
roster.
to get roasted.
You're naming the whole 3-cost roster. You sound like me in the early Snapchat days. Listen, like this is my favorite MVP. Okay, you're 7th.
That's why I figured I can get away with this because you've done this so many times to me.
What's your 7th card?
Just a special shout out to Nakia. Just a special shout out to Nakia, who works with Lady Deathstrike, Brood's back in the game. Like, there's so many things that Nakia is working well with that I feel like it's not an absolute trash heap card anymore. And I'm putting it in more decks than I thought I would. It still can feel bad, but there's times when it feels really good.
Okay. All right. I like it. On the Jean Grey note, I was going to reel it back and just say, I think the reason why both these cards got passed over, Echo is not a showcase card. You can't showcase that card, right? Like, she's just a good card in decks, which is why she was lackluster. Jean Grey didn't meet our expectations of what and how she worked, which is also why she felt lackluster, I think. Those are the 2 kind of reasons why I think we, kind of pushed past them a bit, is my last case on her. But yes, I agree. Nakia is better. I don't play her a ton, but is definitely better. 4 cost, buddy. It's Absorbing Man for me this season. No question, dude. The 5 power is tremendous. Just tremendous, man. Even getting a Forge and then playing him, and all of a sudden you have a 4/8, and then you can have a mini Crossbones, and then you get to do it again, dude. I love it.
It is an amazing card. It's actually gone up quite a bit more than I expected. When I first read the OTM, I'm like, okay, we got more power, but it's still Absorbing Man. It's still very combo-centric, but that extra 2 power was momentous for its ability just to be on the board, and it makes it less of a risk. And I actually think that it's one of those cards I'm sleeping on personally, and I need to start incorporating in more decks. He's definitely moving beyond the I'm a meme hazmat combo card, and now he's being utilized in many different ways.
I think it was like we programmed in our minds to not include him, and so it's hard to think about his usefulness nowadays, so without question. What about your 4 cost?
Captain Marvel! It's Captain Marvel for me, my favorite 4-drop. It was my favorite 5-drop that I never got to play because it just wasn't quite good enough. As a 4/5 Cozy, this might be one of the biggest buffs in a long time. Like, this is momentous. Getting this out on 3 feels great because, like, you know your opponent's sweating because, like, they have to control that. They gotta account for that extra 5 power going where it has to go. I love the concept of, like, the macro state of the board where, like, you know, you try and leave space for her to fly, right? So sometimes that impacts your board state. But I love this card. I love the change. They absolutely nailed it. It does not feel unfair. It does not feel overpowered. It feels good.
They did. This is their best OTA in almost ever. Like, Venom, there's some good ones, but this is such a solid one. Like, dude, and that's why I picked Kraven. The fact that just putting Kraven on the board immediately either makes him an automatic 2/4, which if he's there, he's going to be bigger than that, or just makes her a 4/7. Like, that's so insane. It's crazy that the curve works out great. Love the combination. And hell, you can do Kraven and Zabu. That way you can only play one or the other, but then you have like synergy with Captain Marvel either way. Love it. Really good pick. It's hard not to include Captain Marvel. Phoenix Force gets a little bit of a small shout out, I think, overlooked. Not an insane card. I've had fun with it this season if we're going by that metric. 5 cost card, man. I'll let you go first.
At 5 cost, I'm going to come at you with something that is a little unorthodox, and that's Kang. So, on your side of Snapchat, I made a pitch for Kang being better than people thought it was. This was the month that I started to fall in love with Kang. This was the month where I started to realize what Kang's potential was. I think that, as a whole, it's still underpowered, because I've only been able to identify one specific archetype and one specific style of deck where it really works. And that's the She-Not style deck where you're running Magic for the Limbo effect. So, it's extremely niche. It does not have the overall play rate that it could. It needs work. But this is a card for me this season that stole cubes for me time and time again. The Kang snaps felt like free cubes half the time. The ability to predictably play with Limbo was immensely helpful in the She-Not based decks. And I think that She-Not is going to increase in meta relevance as Destroy increases in meta relevance. So I think that Kang is generally being slept on, but it still needs a little bit of love.
I look forward to future Snapchat episodes and selling me more. And lean into it, man. Keep playing them. Like, discover it. Because I can't be sold yet if he's only useful in one deck. If you find, like, 10 decks, 5 decks, for sure. But I like it. Hey, I'm always for the spicy pick. And so, it definitely on the spicy side, dude. I appreciate it. You know, mine was tough. I think Valkyrie really showed up this season for me, just where she's kind of landed. In conjunction with, obviously, Jean Grey, Echo, right? I'm going to give it to Vision. I think Vision, his change was bigger than I thought. Right? Like, one power. It's one power. But that the 8 that's movable just actually feels legit. Right? And I'm seeing him played much more now, especially in Sherry.
Yeah, I'm seeing him a ton in Shuri, and he's a problem in Shuri. Like, you can't deal with that. They can just move him to a location where they know he's safe for turn 6. Like, they don't even have to move him, like, they just can move him so that you can't predict where to play. Right? They can just hide him behind an armor. They can hide him where, like, into a flooded location so you can't Shang-Chi him. Like, there's so many interesting things you can do with Vision, and you're right. That one power was way more substantial than perhaps we had originally given it credit for.
He brought back Lockjaw by himself, too. Like, Lockjaw sneaking back into the meta a little bit because, cheating out a Vision, there may not be a better card to cheat out. Like, it's just so... It's so damn good. It's so annoying at that, too, right? So, the Jubilee taking out the Vision. Loved it. It's been very consistent for me since the change, and I slept on it a bit. 6 cost, Alex. Oh, man. There's a lot to always choose from. I'll let you kick it off.
Okay. So, for me, it was stuck between two. But I have to lean on my tried, tested, and true America Chavez. I'm back to Chavez territory. This season has really solidified Chavez as one of the premier 6 drops in the game, simply because of its ability to consistently improve your draw. It's what it does. Every single game, it always does the same thing. It improves your draw. It reduces RNG. Yeah, it's 4 and 5%. I'll tell you what, Cozy, I play a lot of Marvel Snap. I feel that 5%. You know what I mean? Yeah. I feel it.
Yeah.
And so even in the Conquerors event, some of us were playing very similar to those like Rocks, Hawks, and Locks types of location style decks with Legion. I was one of the only ones playing Chavez because I wanted that Zabu. I wanted to push that Zabu up. And I felt the consistency difference. I felt it over a lot of different games where I was trying to be competitive. Chavez, I think people are starting to wake up to as being one of the best cards in Marvel Snap.
For sure. This is a good talking point for a second, because here's the deal. I do love Chavez, and I think she's the only one that does what she do. We both put her in S tier. I think we can agree on that last week. Very good card. Is it the most fun card in the game? No, that's probably why a lot of people skip it. I am seeing a little bit of problems with Chavez, and I wanted to address it. Guys, I don't think Chavez needs to be in every deck. I'm not saying this isn't going to counterpoint your point. I think this does help you point, right? Chavez does help you draw. But you need to identify if your deck, like, I'm going to take a hard take and disagree that she needs to be in the Kraven deck. I was seeing her in the Kraven deck. It doesn't make sense. Like, you don't need to have... That deck has so many cards that work at early play. You want to look at your deck and see if you're truly trying... Like, you made a great point. Zabu. Hell, even Deadpool, whatever, right? Like, these cards that you need to get. That's what the deck's whole purpose is, right? But then I'm seeing it where, like, you have these value decks at times where it's like, what do you do? You don't need the Chavez there. It just doesn't make all the sense. And I think that spot might be better served for another combo piece that you're trying to get in the large scale. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you, like, without question. Like, I cut her from, say, my my crystal deck where I was using Ronin and Devil Dinosaur because, like, that deck, like, I have so many 2-drops I can play. I can play Baron if it comes out. I can play, like, it didn't matter, right? But with Zabu specifically, I feel like Zabu Chavez is like an auto-inclusion when I use the two. Because if I don't have Zabu on turn 2, it feels awful. And if I do have it on turn 2, it often feels like a snap condition. Like, if I have Zabu and Rock Slide, like, that's amazing. That's amazing 2-3. It's one of the best 2-3 combos in the game. So I do love what you're saying. And when I was experimenting with Lady Deathstrike, I was actually playing a Koye. Not that I recommend it, but I was playing a Koye. And when I was playing Chavez as a 6'10", I was like, wait a minute. This is actually not bad. As a 6'10", it felt way more significant.
I lost to a 6'10 Chavez because of Nkoye. So I actually know exactly, like, dude, I was like, what the hell? And then I also, it was Wakanda Embassy, it was a 6'11". And I was just like, I had, +2s to my card, but like that 6'11", I was like, jeez, like it just took me down. And the guy had very lucky circumstances for even Wakanda Embassy to trigger to get him that. Actually, you know what it was? I think it was a hub. That's how I lost too, which was so crazy, is that this hub gave it, and I was like, how did this thing even get the bonus? Regardless, though, the bonus points to the Chavez, we just talked about Vision being a 5'8", right? So a 6'10", big significant change. And as you know, you can't really Shang-Chi her, right? Because she's usually out on turn 6, right? So
yeah, she used to be a 6'10". She was nerfed.
Oh yeah,
she was nerfed during beta. She was a 6'10", right? And just as I entered, so right near the end of the Wave season, which would have been the first season of Marvel Snap, they nerfed her down to a 6'9".
Yeah,
nice.
it absolutely. She was filthy in the beta. I do like the pick, dude. I think that's great, and I'm glad that was good discussion to have around her. Okay, so man. Listen, Death isn't a 6 cost. So I won't pick her. I just think she's like so fun, dude. I think she's so underrated all the time for what she does. And in this season alone, I would play her a ton just because everyone's destroying stuff for you. So it's going to be for free a lot of the times. My pick will be the most controversial I've made myself. I'm disappointed in myself. You were supposed to save the Jedi, not kill them, essentially, Anakin. I'm going to go Galactus. Now, I am speaking of this more of because I haven't played Galactus since February. I don't play a lot of top meta decks. I just don't. But it was time for me to update a guide on Galactus, so I did commit, right? Anytime I put out a guide, I commit. I play a lot of the cards just so I can learn all the intricacies. Damn it, he's fun. And I hate it. I hate that he's fun. I hate that he's really good. I think he's the highest win rate deck this season. It's because, dude, it's the Nimrod deck that Galactus is disguised, man. And we didn't even talk about him all that much with X23. I don't know why. But Galactus is going to be significantly better there because now you have 8 energy potentially. But it's the fact that everyone's playing Destroy. So they're like, oh, here we go. It's another Destroy deck. And you just can cheat him out that much easier. I hate playing him with ramp cards like Electro. But I love playing him with the Goblins. I love playing him just purely playing with a Nimrod and trying to beat that. Try to beat that. He's fun. He's solid. He feels beatable. I don't ever want to be too popular, and I get that. And I'm sorry, guys. I got a lot of heat when I released the video, but I got to do it every now and then, right? He gets my respect this season. I don't love I'm not saying he's crazy, but this is definitely, for 6 cost, it surprised me.
It's a controversial take, but I respect it. And I think you're right to identify that there's less obvious tells now. You don't see the Electro. You don't see the Wave. Like, it's not quite like that. Hobgoblin starts to feel like a little more of a tell. I think that's one of the big ones. The one thing about X23, which is super fascinating, is that I like the design because X23 is a risk. because it can bounce into the location you're hoping to play the Galactus.
Yep.
So it has that counterbalance naturally, which I think is really cool with Galactus. But you're right, Galactus on turn 5, that feels dirty. And all the Nimrod-based gameplay does disguise the potential for Galactus.
And that's the thing. Lady Deathstrike works with her a little bit, and what with him. But the thing is, when you play Conquest, you get your first 4, 8, 2 cubes, right, with the Galactus play. But then what I love is, even if they know you have them, dude, they're in their heads so much. And on top of that, oh, there's nothing better, guys. If you want to play Galactus, you play a Hobgoblin down, right? And they are just so sold that that's Galactus's lane, and then you just do a Nimrod play and you get a little bit of power on the right side or whatever. Like, you already have the Hobgoblin lane done and done. So, like, there's ways to really... honestly, he was truly a card. The more I played with him, the better I got. I felt like that, and there's not decks that I feel like that all the time, and he was one of them. I think that's enough about Galactus, but I do think he was worth talking about, finally, on the Snapchat.
You know what? It's funny. When I play Galactus, sometimes I'll just like splash him into a deck for fun, like at Infinite. I'm not even in Conquest, just Proving Grounds, whatever. And I'll sometimes leave a lane like completely open just so I can see if I can get someone with just a straight up 7 points by surprise on turn 6.
Yeah.
I play like a random deck that does not even ever have Galactus. I'm the only person playing Galactus in this list just so I can be like, whoa, let's just see if I can catch him off guard, right?
For sure. He's a great plug and play.
That actually takes us to the next point of conversation, which is the meta decks of August 2023. Now, you were right to identify Galactus making a comeback, and he is one of the meta decks of August 2023. Let's actually start there. So Galactus right now, and we're going to put the deck on the screen. The deck is running a 57% win rate, 9,700 games. Cozy, the list involves Nova, Bucky Barnes, Carnage, Wolverine, Green Goblin, Venom, Shuri, Hobgoblin, Nimrod, your boy Galactus, and finally Destroyer. And as you said, it's that package that hides the fact that it's a straight up Galactus deck that makes it so potent.
Yeah, for sure. I splash in a couple other cards from time to time. Green Goblin, I can't decide. I feel like he's too early of a tell, and that's why I don't love him. And we're in a Destroy season, so I just like give him Carnage food. So like I did play him, but I think I ended up cutting him ultimately from my list. I forgot. But either way, I remember just like not liking him as much this season. But dude, yeah, Galactus, really good spot because of Destroy. If you're going to play him, this would be the time. We talked about it last time. Craven move. I think obviously we know Craven is in a good spot, whether you want to go with more of the value side, the control side. I think we could both agree. We talked more about that last episode. So if you want to really dive into that, guys, you can check out the last podcast or both of our videos. So that's always good. What do you feel about... it's funny, Destroy is at such a good place, and I feel like we're just kind of going to be entering where that's going to go.
It's weird to talk about Destroy because there is a very commonly played Destroy deck right now. Again, on the screen, 55% win rate. It is running Deadpool, Nova, Bucky, Barnes, Carnage, Wolverine, Killmonger, Venom, Dakin, Deathlock, Hulkbuster, Taskmaster, and Death. One might say, I saw this on a channel called Cozy Snap. It's a very good deck, and I actually want to just say that, like, I think Destroy is really gonna ramp up with X23. I think it's an ideal card for this archetype. So this deck you're seeing right now changes. It changes tonight when X23 comes out, and I think that it will be a very natural inclusion. What I want to say though, I want to come back to something you said just a few minutes ago, Cozy. You were talking about Green Goblin, okay? You said that you cut Green Goblin out of the deck because you felt that for your playstyle, it wasn't serving the role that you wanted it to. It was a tell that you didn't want. I think that's so key, and I want to talk about this for a second because when we talk about meta decks, okay, we're showing you what the statistics illustrate as being the meta decks. These are the ones that people are playing, the good win rates, the popularity, yes. However, if there's a card in that meta deck that does not suit your playstyle, be very comfortable and confident to sub it and make that deck your own. I think that's important. I really do. Like, I don't think that you should just be carbon copying the decks we talk about here, just like straight up copy paste. You can do it if you want, right? Do it if you want. But what I really want you to do is challenge yourself to say, how do I make this deck my own and better? Use it as a template and make it better. Yep. That is something that I love to see, and maybe it's just a surprise card that catches your opponent off guard, but I wanted to come back to that because what you said about Green Goblin I think is an incredibly important teachable moment that I just wanted to highlight there.
Yeah, thanks, man. And again, it's like the season too. Like, I think that Green Goblin is just, it's not his season. Too much Destroy, man. And when you can clog, when they really want to get a combo down, he's perfect. I just didn't feel it. And other people may love him. Again, that's a great point there to bring up being able to flex cards in. You know, I would say Destroy too is interesting. I think if you commit now to X23 Destroy, you are going to be by November, a menace. And what I mean by that is, it is so effing hard to judge how good this card's going to be this month. But in 2 months or even a month, man, when people forget about it a bit more and the decks aren't tailored to it, dude, X23 from now forward, Destroy is going to be a problem. And it's going to be a tough deck to beat, dude. So I'm excited to see where that goes. Again, I think we can blow by some decks that we've talked about so many times. High Evo, obviously, very, very, very good. Still, turn 7, we already talked about the turn 7 kind of magic. We talked about that in so much extent on my side. Alex, Surfer, we spend too much time on, but what I will want to give you just a moment for is, like, what do you think is the Surfer deck at the moment?
Right now, in terms of meta statistics, there's a Surfer deck running. It's a 56% win rate, and the current leader is Nova, Goose, Brood, Rogue, Silver Surfer, Storm Juggernaut, classic combo, Killmonger, of course, because you got Nova, Shadow King, Polaris, Spider-Man, and Sarah. Now, I think the reason why this particular deck, Cozy, is kind of rising in the ranks is because you have Polaris, which helps to counter Galactus play, right? Which I think is important. You have the counteract of Shadow King versus the Destroy. You have Goose, which counteracts Galactus. You have Brood, which is just huge power. But what I would like to see in this deck, what I've been doing personally, is I've been incorporating Forge. I've been liking Forge. And the reason why, Cozy, I got a hot take. And feel free to disagree here. Now, naturally, you want turn 2 Forge into turn 3 Brood. You don't even always want that, but that's pretty good because you can even, if you don't have Sarah, you can play a 3-drop and Forge on turn 5 and then finish with Brood, Silver Surfer on 6, right? But I'll tell you something. When I was playing Forge on turn 2, even if I didn't have Brood, I'd play him anyway. Because if I pulled, or if I had, say, Storm, a 3-5 Storm still felt really good and made that lane extremely winnable, especially when I lock it down. So I think that Forge is a worthy inclusion in Silver Surfer, even if the meta is not reflecting it yet.
Oh, agreed. Yeah, 100%. I mean, like always, Surfer has not changed in the fact of a bunch of 3-cost cards, sometimes Sarah, and then you want either 1 or 2-cost cards. So having Forge now replace Goose in some lists or whatever, depending on the list, he just belongs. He just belongs. Even if it's not Storm, name any other 3-cost card, and that's going to have more power and more oomph behind it. A Magic, right? The most worthless one. Like, if that's in a Surfer deck, right? Like, that 3 extra power is 3 more to add 2 more on, right? Like, it's just, it flows well. You can pick the lanes. I agree, man. I love the Forge pick for sure. Probably the last deck I'll talk about, at least on my end, Thanos builds, all great, guys. Thanos is insane. The last build I'll talk about that I think is being, I don't know, just not talked about enough with the Forge change. People went Surfer right away. It's Patriot, man. Patriot is in such a play. Patriot is the I don't have the new cards, I'm pissed, I'm jealous kind of thing. Hey, cool. You're just not playing a deck that can just beat anything at this point. It's in a great spot. In a very, very good spot. Patriot Lad or Pure Patriot. Guys, there's been so many changes that have helped Patriot out, but Forge specifically an absorbing man. But Forge going into either the Brood or Mr. Sinister, the fact that you can have a 2-5, guys, a 2-5 Mr. Sinister, and then you can easily add another 2 power, possibly more. You can now cut Mystique, which is insane. You don't always want to, but if you don't have other ongoing cards, you can cut her, right? So it's like the Patriot Lad, bro, Iron Lad copying Forge are like great. Fantastic. I would love this. Like, it just feels great. You don't have as much of a finish. Ultron's obviously good. Doctor Doom does work still into a large degree, but I love Forge and Patriot.
You guys, you heard him say, right? Ultron's obviously good. He said it, not me.
Said it for
Quote
you.
him.
Said it for you.
Clip it and ship it, right? But it's funny how, like, just like a minor change to Forge really, like, this deck conversation not even supposed to be about Forge. We already talked about Forge, and here we are again. That's how impactful that OTA was. And again, one change, one number change, and all of a sudden it impacts a multitude of different cards and decks and archetypes. And you're right to identify Patriot. Patriot has been one of those, like, go-to, I don't have all the cards, or I just want to play a deck that it plays. And now, for some reason, Enchantress is seeing less play. But it is in the deck that I'm going to finish this conversation off with, which is the Bolt and Stature based deck. We're seeing a lot of different iterations of the Bolt and Stature based deck. This is more of like a kind of like a Rocks and Hawk style list that still runs, you know, your Zabu, your Rockside, and the others. We got it up on the screen here. It runs this commanding 62% win rate according to Untapped. And I got to tell you, it's a fantastic list that comprises of Korg, Spider-Ham, Zabu, Jeff, Killmonger, Darkhawk, Shang-Chi, my favorite card at the 4-drop, Captain Marvel, Enchantress, Rockslide, and then Stature and Bolt. Honestly, the deck just performs. It puts up points, Cozy, and this is actually post a Black Bolt and Stature nerf, so it's still holding on, and I feel like it's not as highly played as it should be.
Yeah, dude, it's a great list. I love it. And Stature, everyone got her, who wanted to target her, and now you got her because she came out in the spotlights recently, and only gonna get better. Surfer Samurai, about to make this list even more cracked. Alex, we got destroy cards. This is a segment that I want to have more often, right? Like, we were kind of picky between Silver Surfer and Destroy, and we definitely want to do Surfer because that's such a fun topic. It's Destroy season, right? So I felt like this was the flavor pick. I'm glad you picked Destroy. I think this was definitely the right way to go. There's something about both of us revealing our cards at the same time, right? And going back and forth on which one they're going to pick. Dude, are you excited to talk about top 10 Destroy cards right now?
I actually am. I'm actually really excited to talk about the top 10 Destroy cards because I'm most interested in our deviations, where you disagree with me, where I disagree with you, where we land on the same page. And we don't share these in advance. We do that on purpose because we actually think it makes better content, right? It'd be easier if we just did it together or we showed it at the same time or something like that. But I think this is so much more interesting because I wouldn't surprise you with Surprise Ultron in a top 10 list if we figured it out in advance, now would I?
No way, dude. I would stop you before you left off Thanos. The whole, that was, an epic Alex moment. Ooh, so the thing is, we're obviously going to be naming the same cards, like, at times. Like, this is going to bound to happen. I'm sure we can elaborate on our picks more when they come up on our side. But it's the ordering that this is more spicy about. I think towards the bottom, I think there's cards that could be left off. I don't know about you. The way that I organized it is I just sorted by Destroy. Whatever's in there is safe to go. I did leave off Shang-Chi. I want to ask ahead of time. Did you put Shang? I left him off just because I felt like
I chose to leave off Shang-Chi.
Okay.
I don't feel like he's part of that archetype.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure we got that out there right away. Let's start with 10, and work our way up.
All right, sure. I'll start us off. And first of all, it was super hard to order these. Super hard.
Extremely.
And this is also before the release of X-23 officially.
Big notice there. It's before the release, 100%.
Number 10 for me, this is where I put Arnim Zola. And this is a card that's way higher than 10 in terms of fun factor for me, but in terms of like decks, meta relevance, win rate, all that stuff, I give it 10, but I'm prepared for you to be like, Alex, seriously 10 for Arnim Zola?
Yeah, dude, what the? I can't believe, like, would you put, yeah, dude, he's 10 for me too. I have him as number 10.
No way!
Yeah, for sure. Fun factor, how much I like the card, how good I think he is. Like, he's really good. There's just 9 better cards on a consistent basis is why I picked above him. But yeah, I agree. Now, come talk to me again after X-23, and we can cheat him out with Noel going way up there. But yeah, especially because it's pure Destroy that we're trying to focus on here. Like, he is like good in an overall sense, but I had to go with him there. Hit me with number 9.
Number 9 for me. Now, this is hard because this is like an archetype MVP, so I felt bad putting it at number 9, but there's so many other cards doing magical things out there. This is where Carnage lands for me.
What?
I know. But listen, I know it's hard, but like, it makes sense. Like, it really does. I know you look so insulted. You're saying no, man.
No, it doesn't make sense.
Carnage for me was 9 because I felt like it is specifically kind of really tight to this archetype, right? It doesn't have the leeway that some other of these cards do. And it has a ceiling. It has a ceiling on how high it goes. Whereas like other cards, when you're talking about soon, they have ceilings that are way higher than Carnage. So I put it at 9, but I'm ready for you to roast me.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I could spend a whole topic. We can make a topic if you want to. Yeah, dude. It's a 2-power card that does the Destroy function, that grows to 8, that eats things on your side, that can be used so many different ways. Yeah, I'll talk about him. But I'm shocked. I'm shocked. If you put him at a couple places higher, I'd be shocked. Yeah, I am.
Really? You're that much higher?
Carnage is one of the best cards, man. He's so good. He's so good. He does the whole point of destroy decks are to destroy, and he does it at the cheapest cost. He allows you to do the Venom and destroy play, him and together with Venom for Nimrod action to spread lanes. He's early. He's great to stack tall. He doesn't get over the Shang-Chi range. I can keep going. Yeah, he destroys stuff on your side.
I know, but my argument is that he doesn't win the game. He doesn't win a destroy game. He enables the win, but he's not the card that finishes it. He's not the card that puts the points down. That's my argument.
This is why I love
he's
top
good
10s.
at what he does, but he's not the one.
I hate this worse than your Ultron pick, but that's why I like top 10s. So I'm here for it, buddy. Let's do it. Let's go. It's me. I was so derailed.
You got to say yours.
I got hopped out of my chest here. This is where I've got Bucky Barnes. Now, I think he's easy to sleep on here. He's easy to pass up. I had to put him at number 9. Listen, he's 2 cost, he's 6 power, but he's really 2-8 no matter what, for the most part. Maybe 2-7 if you eat him with a Venom. Probably not a great decision. Him and Carnage in the lane is one of the most tried and true stack tall situations that you can come up with. And yeah, he's insane. He's great for what he does. He feels like X-23 in a sense, where it's like you're destroying him, but you're getting just pure profit and value. We love 2.5s. He's a 2.6, technically a 2.8 or 4.
I don't know if it's a spoiler or not, but I'll say that I've left the Winter Soldier off my list.
I had a feeling. And once I heard Carnage this low, I was like, well, Bucky's gone. Bucky. Also, fun fact, I didn't know how to spell Bucky because I missed that question. I put an EY on your recent trivia quiz that Alex just did. If you haven't checked that out, guys, you need to go check that video out. It was a lot of fun there. Felt your teacherism in there, and that's a new word I came up with. What about number 8?
Number 8 for me, this is where Wolverine comes. I think that Wolverine comes in at 8. Come on, you can't be that far off now.
No, I was just giving you crap. Yeah, okay.
Now I'm nervous because I'm like, oh, come on. But yeah, Wolverine comes in at 8 for me, and this was tight between the 8 and the 7. I kind of swapped the 2 back and forth, and I think Wolverine's a great card. I think it does what it needs to do. The rework was one of the best reworks they've ever done in the game, actually. Like, if you actually go back in time, this rework was a godsend to this archetype, to the card. This variant, though, I don't know how I feel about it, but it's trying to get my video demonetized. But I will tell you that, like, Wolverine is in a good spot. I think it's a great card. And sometimes I like the RNG side of it in a fun way because, like, sometimes you want it to, like, hey, come on, land over there. Land over there, damn it. Go into that flooded location. It just doesn't. Or it wins the game for you, right? So I do like Wolverine. I love the additive power effect of it. It makes Venom feel better. And overall, I think it's a really good card.
Yeah, I would say I flipped him and my 7 over and over, like just back to back. I felt like I couldn't decide where to put each one. Ultimately, I'm still deciding, I guess. I'm going to put him at the same spot. I could probably put him a tad bit higher. It's not even that he's bad. He's cracked. He's an easy 2.4. He's 2.6 most games. 2.8 on some crazy games, 2.10 on even wilder ones. But the cards above him I like better for the archetype, even though he's just so stupid good. It feels wrong putting him here. And again, I'm probably going to regret what I have at 7 and could flip with this. And I'll just lean into it. This is where I do have the brand new season pass card. I have Dawkins at 7, and I think he could probably go below Wolverine. It's a tough call because they do different things at different times with different important levels. So I don't really know because the extra cost is a big thing. You can get Wolverine up to an 8 if it gets crazy enough. He feels like he blends in a bit more. Dawkins, you can have bad things happen to. It's tough, man. I flip-flopped with those 2, but that's my number 7.
Interesting choice. I like the pick, right? I like to play. It's also not like a traditional destroy card, so I like how you're reaching out of the box a little bit here, right? But Dawkins a great card. And it actually synergizes very well with the archetype as a whole. And I gotta be honest with you. My number 7, it's one of the most vertical cards in Marvel Snap. And this is where, for me, it's Deadpool. And I think that Deadpool could rise. I think that with X-23, you're going to get a lot more capabilities of being able to play more cards down with that extra energy. I think Deadpool likes that. I like the idea of like being able to destroy X-23 on turn 5 and then play hard. You could literally play, Null and Deadpool on turn 6 because of that 7 energy. So I think that Deadpool is going to find a very interesting spot in the meta. And for me, it comes in at 7 because I just think it's a great card. And it is very draw dependent, right? Very draw dependent. But when you get moving, this card is an absolute wrecking ball.
Yeah, I get it, man. That's why I have him at number 6. So Deadpool, for me, is going to be just a touch higher. And that's why I can't get over the Carnage. I'm going to try to keep moving forward here. Deadpool's great, though. He's not as universal all the time. You need things to go right. But again, even if you get him at a 1-4. The thing is, dude, the Forge buff is so stupid good for Deadpool. It's ridiculous. It cuts Nova from the list a lot of the times. You're doing so much to get Nova out there. Now, just get the Deadpool out. And it doesn't matter about the 1 extra point because you can get that Forge bonus later on. You can ramp him quicker. Hulkbuster got a nice charge up as well. And so both those just work in tandem. I think he's only going to get better. X23 has a natural synergy with the card. And not to mention, he fuels Death's cost lowering. He fuels Null's cost hiring. And he can be played on turn 6 with Taskmaster. I mean, yeah, I love Deadpool. He's my number 6.
Fantastic. And as we reach into number 6, which you've now jumped to, that's where, for me, it's Death. Now, this is one of those cards that can feel like it's the number 1 of the archetype. And it's seen some changes. It's seen some changes recently. But I do think that even though Death Wave is gone, that whole archetype has just completely been shuttered, it's still a card you often get out for free, or at least at a heavily discounted rate. It's still just a good card. It's an archetype defining card. So for me, I think Death is worth position 6.
Oh, it's fantastic. You know what's great is I left off, this is my Thanos. Somehow, when I sort it, didn't include Death on my list. I don't know how that happened.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, whatever.
We all make mistakes, my man. I'll say I've been there.
Yeah. I like it, man. I can't believe I left Death off. That's just stupid of me. I would push everything down 1 and put it here. I think that's fine. I think the ones that I have above, potentially, would be where Death is at, and I would take off Arnim Zola if I were to, like, redo the list there. That's shocking, though. Yeah. I like
this is hilarious. Cozy's experiencing an Alex moment.
Oh, for sure. Well, I looked. I'm like, yeah, Death. I go. My first thought, I go, it's a little low, and then I look. I'm like, where did I place her? Didn't even put her on the list. So I think you know what it was is because it sounds like that you don't have Dawkin on the list, which is crazy to me too. Dawkin is a destroy card, like that's who he is. So like, he has to be on the list. He's a 3/8 that can build up and build your destroy deck. So I tried so hard to force him on there that I forgot Death.
Yeah, I didn't include Dawkin. No, I didn't. Okay. I didn't actually identify him as a destroy card. But you're right. I agree with you. Like I agree with you. He should be on the list, and like he probably knocks Zola off. Like at least
less so than Death though. So Death, my boo boo is pretty bad here. But yeah, I would agree. This is where Death needs to go for sure. And this was 5 or 6 for you.
This was 6, so we're on 5 now because you leaded with your 6 before.
Wonderful.
Leaded. Good English there, Alex.
It's okay. We're just all melting down now, right? Let's go. Number 5, dude. I'm curious if this is where you have. I've got Noel here. Noel's gonna go way higher than this later on. But when it comes to like winning, and the games where he wins me it versus the games where he's sitting in my hand as like a 1-6 or a 6-6, and I'm like, cool, buddy. Like, thanks for nothing. That's why I have him as an average here. What he cost, how you fit him in. This is completely going to change in a week.
It's where I have Null too. Good call. Yeah. Null I think is going to be a riser as well, especially with X23. I think X23 completely reactivates this card. It's crazy what X23 is going to do for turn 5 and 6 in Destroy. Like
Agreed.
Turn 5 and 6 has always had this juggle of like, what do I do? Like I want that free death out there, sure, but how do I approach the turn 6? It's the Null, it's the Zola. There's so many different options, and X23 completely changes that landscape. So I suspect Null's going to rise.
Number 4, I have a feeling now I know exactly where, when I have Carnage, where you have other cards. But what is 4 for you?
4 is where I have Nimrod. Because like Nimrod for me has been an absolutely fantastic card. I've loved it. This was a card that like I was pretty low on release, and it just didn't quite work the way I wanted it to. And then that 1 power and the Shuri combination. And I just love Destroyer. I like to burn. Like I love everything about Destroyer, right? It's just such a natural playstyle. It's very straightforward. It puts up points. I love the opportunity of, even playing Magic, right? And you have on turn 7, you can play like, Venom, and you can play Carnage together and smack the Nimrods absolutely everywhere while keeping your Destroyer on the board. You can even play Venom. There's so many fantastic things you can do. I've been a huge believer of Nimrod. Like this has been the card, I think, in terms of delta from like me on release to where I am today, has had the biggest change.
Yeah.
By far. I was going to say null believer. I've always been a null believer, but I am now a Nimrod believer.
Yeah, number 4, Alex. I like the Nimrod pick for sure. So much so that I picked the same card. Yeah, number 4, man. This is where Nimrod fell in for me too. I think what Nimrod did to destroy the best, period, is just give it a different play style. The fact that Destroy was the most one-dimensional deck in the game, dude. It was so obvious what it was happening. It was just, even Discard had like Lockjaw Discard back in the day. Destroy has always been Destroy. Nimrod brought in a different build. Just so cool about that, and the ways that you can manipulate him to where he makes Doctor Doom look like he's garbage, right? Like, just you can build up that power to such insane degrees. So I love that at number 4. I'll kick us off into number 3, dude. This is where I got Carnage, man. Top 3 Destroy card by far. Yeah, there's no con to him. I kind of explained my case on him. The cheapest way to destroy, period, is just the best, dude. Oh my God, I love him. What do you got here? Is this where you have, can I stab? Can I take a stab?
Sure.
Do you have Nova ranked this high?
I don't. This is where I have Destroyer.
Ooh, okay. Okay.
Yeah, this is where I put Destroyer. And it goes with Nimrod and Destroyer were like kind of. I actually cut Nova from this list, which is crazy to me.
No,
I was
honestly,
like, I didn't want to. I didn't
okay
want to.
that. Yeah, I'm okay with that. I don't have Nova.
Yeah, like it's because of X-23 coming out, and like
Forge
Nova is so good, but I feel like it's better. Yes, it's the Forge too. Like there's been all these things impeding on Nova's strength, and now with all the armors, the one power that they took off Nova, you feel it more now. Like this is where that nerf months ago makes more sense. Right now, it makes sense. So I took Nova off. I didn't listen. I still believe in Nova. I still like Nova. I'm not taking Nova out of my Surfer list yet. But Nova did drop down. But for me, at 3, it's Destroyer. Nimrod could have been 3. This could have been swapped. 3, 4, Destroyer, Nimrod. Because I'm playing them as a package.
Okay.
But I also think that, like, there was, like, there's going to be new players playing Marvel Snap, right? New players coming all the time. Still, to this day, just ongoing Destroyer represents one of the cheapest Pool 3 decks you can build with Pool 2 cards. Like, this card, it just functions beautifully. And if they play Cosmo, sometimes Destroyer is a perfect card to play there. Okay. Right? Like, oh, I don't have to destroy my board now, and maybe you played a different line. Boom, no problem, right? Destroyer is way more flexible than people give it credit for.
Yeah, Nimrod made him better for sure, and I do like Destroyer. I don't have him on my list at all. I think the problem is the problem with him is he ticks me off more than he makes me happy, right? Like I risk killing things that I've worked so hard to build up. The Sakar game comes out. Whatever happens with Destroyer. I feel like if they wave, I don't have an option. You have to build your deck pretty one-dimensional to make it work super significant. But the Shuri into Nimrod and have Bucky Barnes in the lane can just win. Like, it's just stupid good. Like, that's just a dumb good play. But yeah, I definitely had to put like Doc in these value plays a bit more in there over him because I can easily build up to that just a little bit quicker, I feel like. But I don't like hate the pick, but that's what I have. Number 2, we're going to have the same 2 here. It just depends on the order, so I'm actually curious. Number 2, who do you got?
This is where I put Venom.
Okay, so we're swapped. Okay, yeah. I've got...
It's obvious what our 2
so Venom,
so we can talk about them together.
Yeah, so Venom and Killmonger are going to be the top 2. I've got Venom at number 1. He does that. When I'm talking pure destroy, that's why I have Venom there. Whereas, like, broad sense, it's Killmonger, so it's like a give and take. I get it. They're both just so badass, yeah?
Yeah, the change to Venom completely elevated Destroy. Like, Destroy was, like, always kind of like... If you go back 3 months... Destroy was not seeing play. It really wasn't. And then Venom got buffed. And then they even tried to give some, like, Phoenix Force was theoretically supposed to be a little love to Destroy too. Like, Destroy was getting these pieces, right? And now we're in August and they're like, it's a Destroy Wonderland. It's Destroy Christmas out here.
Yep.
But yeah, Venom, the change to Venom, 2 power, 2 power tripled the play rate of Destroy. Like, legitimately tripled Destroy because, like, it's just that good. It's a huge card. It is an archetype-defining card. I actually like Venom with Dawkins specifically because now you have very different lines. You have multiple lines, and it's not a one-dimensional card. Obviously, you have the Arnim Zola synergy, Null synergy. It just synergizes with the entire... There's nothing that Venom can't do that's amazing for this archetype.
I think it's funny. We should do a topic sometime where it's just like, period, borderline, done, our top 10 favorite cards in Marvel Snap. Like, held to it. Like, it'll take time. But I think Venom might make that list for me. Like, I love Venom as a card. He never feels bad to pull. The fact is, you're destroying things, which is the entire purpose of the deck. So you're building up the Deadpool. You're taking down desk cost. You're building up Null. Whatever you're trying to do. You're not actually getting rid of anything because the power just goes right into Venom. You're activating all these other things. You can Taskmaster Venom. You can Arnim Zola Venom. You can eat up things that are taking up space. You can build more room with Venom. The guy's a perfect ass card. I love Venom. That's why I have him at number 1. And the Killmonger's Killmonger. We've talked about him so much. Like, what do we say? He kills one like, yeah. Killmonger is going to go up even more because the X-23 could just take that top spot because of that extra bit of synergy too.
Thing that rises Killmonger above slightly for me was that its application in even more than just destroy decks. Like, it's played in the Rocks and Hawks base list right now. Like, you're seeing it out there. It's actually being cut with the prevalence of armor now, but you're used to see that. You're seeing it in Surfer. Obviously, it's a mandated card in Surfer, basically, right?
Yeah.
It's in way more lists than Venom is, and that's why it kind of, like, for me, popped up by that one. But for Destroy, I would actually agree with you that I think that Venom is by far the most critical card for Destroy as a whole.
Yeah, it definitely is crazy. The cards we left off, I think the biggest one snubbed is probably, I would guess, then Arnim Zola, because we would push them all down for death. Nova, and then Yondu. You know, Yondu's just one of those cards. Like, I think people are like, well, Null. The thing is, he's building up your Null, and he's lowering the death. And sometimes death, man, all you need is that one extra thing.
Yeah.
The problem is X-23 is probably going to hurt him a lot more than you think, because he felt good to play on 1 too, and that's where I think it's going to be a little bit tough to fit him into all the time. But yeah, I think we could both say Yondu. So, dude, that was a fun top 10.
Yeah, it was absolutely incredible to have this conversation because, like, these are my favorite, having these opportunities to just kind of bounce things off each other, right? And it makes for interesting discussion. And most importantly, down in the comments, I would love to see your top 10 as well. Cozy does. We read the comments, we really do,
Everyone.
and we'd love to see that discussion. What is your top 10? Let us know. And with that, guys, we want to say thank you so much for supporting our content. Hitting the like button is the best thing you can do to support us, both on this channel and on Cozy's as well. And with that being said, right in the middle of the screen, I'm pointing the wrong direction. Right in the middle of the screen, we have Cozy's video. And if you've not seen that yet, get over there because it's an absolutely fantastic discussion as well. Thank you guys so much for watching today, for listening. If you're listening on the podcast as well, we appreciate every one of you, and we'll see you on that next Snapchat episode.